Good morning, everyone. It's my privilege to welcome you all to AABN's 261st weekly webinar. It is truly heartwarming to see such an enthusiastic gathering on a Sunday morning. Your presence here reflects the spirit of curiosity and commitment that has always defined our network. AABN began as a fledgling initiative to connect professionals on a proactive platform, one that not only facilitated the exchange of useful information and contacts, but also created an informal avenue to meet and listen to game changers from diverse domains. Thanks to strong work fundamentals, clear goals, and the camaraderie that binds us together, we have grown in leaps and bounds. Today, it is gratifying to note that our agenda continues to cover future relevant topics, bringing together distinguished voices to enrich our collective understanding. The theme of today's webinar, Enabling Disabled, Protection and Promotion of Rights and Development, is of profound importance in our daily lives. The social sector entrusted with delivering health, education, and welfare continues to face challenges such as limited resources, workforce shortages, and fragile infrastructure. These pressures, magnified by crises like COVID-19, highlight the urgent need for inclusive solutions. While technology offers new opportunities, digital divides risk leaving many behind. In this context, our session today will explore how collaborative, forward-looking strategies can strengthen resilience and ensure that persons with disabilities and marginalized communities are empowered to live with dignity and equal opportunity. It's my pleasant duty to introduce our distinguished speaker, Dr. Sekar. Dr. Sekar is not new to our forum. This is the second time he is addressing us, and we are delighted to welcome him back. Dr. Sekar Palanisamy serves as chairman of LC Project Nagapatnam, a social organization dedicated to uplifting marginalized communities, including persons with disabilities, Dalits, and tribal groups. Since 2006, the organization has positively impacted over 40,000 disabled families across the east coast of Tamil Nadu, from Chennai to Nagapatnam. He holds a doctorate in international organization from Jawaharlal Nehru University and has served as a consultant to international organizations such as Oxfam Australia and Humana People to People India. His academic engagements include visiting associate positions at the Institute of Southeast Asian Studies, Singapore, and the Australian National University, Canberra. With over 22 years of experience in the social sector, including 14 years in leadership roles, Dr. Sekar brings deep expertise in organizational management, project strategy, monitoring and evaluation, and emergency response. His contributions span major relief efforts from the 2004 tsunami and subsequent floods and cyclones to the Chennai floods in 2015 and the COVID-19 pandemic. His core competencies include participatory social research, organizational strategy, fundraising, donor engagement, advocacy, and empowerment of persons with disabilities, alongside work in child rights, Dalit rights, microcredit, and environmental conservation. We are honored to have Dr. Sekar with us today, and we look forward to his insights on building inclusive frameworks that protect and promote the rights of persons with disabilities. Before I conclude, I wish to place on record a deep appreciation for Mr. Suresh Mariaselvam, whose support and guidance have been invaluable in connecting us with Dr. Sekar. I also extend a warm welcome once again to all participants and reiterate that AABN doors are always open to those who wish to strengthen our work with their ideas and suggestions. Together, let us combine to carry forward our goals in a constructive and gratifying way. Thank you. And over to you, Dr. Sekar.
Okay. I hope I am audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good morning to everyone. First of all, I thank Dr. Suresh Mariaselvam, who is a friend of mine last more than 25 years. We've been working together in social sector, especially focusing on disaster management. Of course, we are also colleagues. We work with a person with a disability. I also take this opportunity to thank entire Annamalai University Alumni Business Network, giving me opportunity to share our experience. First of all, my deep appreciation for the technocrats as well as entrepreneurs who are taking interest in human rights. The focus is in human rights currently speaks about business and human rights. That is the concept. People like us, of course, we insist on business and human rights. Business also should take interest, also consider human rights one of their area of activities, as well as engage with other work. I think that is the time people like you are showing interest to know um, the nuances of human rights. So for that, I really thank for the entire Annamalai alumni community. Human rights, it's a vast area, especially developed in the post-World War II. The 1945 witnessed the major change socially, politically, economically in the world, right? The entire world being reordered economically, like, superpower came to exist, like then USSR. Of course, US was the dominant power still, till now. US emerged as a leading power. British colonialism is destroyed. Entire Asia, African countries were big independent. The freedom struggle in Africa was strengthened. So that, the third world, so-called third world was emerged. So that there, at the same time, socially, there are a lot of social movements were emerged. It is labor movement where everywhere was very strong and echoing for their rights. Women's rights been insisted with children, then later on children rights, so that the human rights focus completely started or strengthened. It's in the 1945 onwards. That is the year United Nations was formed. US was taking over British supremacy in the world. The same way, the democracy also strengthened. Like country like India, parliamentary democracy been introduced. Still we are the largest nation, or rather largest nation having a functioning parliamentary democracy. So then we were the forerunner for introducing universal suffrage. Whereas the other places, like other countries, women were deprived of voting rights. They were struggling for the voting rights. But in India, very beginning, once we got independence, we introduced the universal suffrage. We introduced the parliamentary democracy. So that way we were the example for the entire world. Despite saying that, so there are definitely gaps and other things were there. So in this circumstance, the human rights been emerged. In 1948 is the milestone for human rights. That is the year UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, been adopted. It's drafted by UNESCO, that is United Nations scientific education organization, headed by Edwina Roosevelt, then US President wife. But actually she's a very famous, significant international human rights lawyer. She was heading the drafting committee of the UDHR, then been adopted by the United Nations. So for any human rights work or for any reference, we have the strong reference. We always have to go back to 1948, what we shortly call UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So that is the base document for UDHR. UDHR was the first international document agreed by all the nations to insist on human rights, respecting everyone, respecting the others' dignity, culture, social, economic status everywhere. So that is the basic document in terms of human rights. Later on, so I'll come back. I'll try to connect where are other legal documents of the United Nations becoming a guiding force for the countries to work on other human rights, like whether it's a children's right or labor rights or women rights. So I will also connect how person with disability rights been guided by the United Nations and during my presentations. In this larger context, as Mr. Gopi said, like I'm heading an organization called Leonard Share Disabilities, that is LC Project, we call it LC Project Nagapatnam. We started in post-tsunami to serve the communities which affected by the tsunamis. That is the person with the people who are becoming a disabled because of tsunami. At the same time, the PWDs who affected by the tsunami. I hope I'm clear on that. So that is the reason we started this project, supported of LC, that is Leonard Share Disability. It's a LCD, it's a larger movement spread over 52 countries in the world. But however, we are an independent body. We share a common name and logo, but we are all independent boards. We guided by our own boards. But the only thing is we share. It's the largest movement working for disabled in the world. So that Cheshire, so what we call Cheshire movement. So Cheshire movement contribution to disability rights as well as disability rehabilitation in the world, it's definitely one of the remarkable work. Still, we are moving very strongly in all over the places like South Africa, or if it is in Latin America or Canada. So there are the other way. At the same time, in India, we have a very strong movement around 23 homes and share services. So I'll come back. What are the strategies we adopt? So always I'll try to connect wherever possible, the work and the rights, what we are doing, so that probably it will give you a clarity how PWD is growing or supported by the other, as well as the civil society organizations, as well as the state. Okay. So far that the definition, let's it will be a very short presentation. It will give you just very brief. So generally, my lecture will give you the more light on that. So the first is the definition. What is a disability? Generally, Indian Person with Disability Act, what we call Disability Act in short, that is a Rights of Person with Disability Act 2016. That definition, as well as United Nations Convention on Rights of Person with Disability, UNCRPD, we call. So that is a definition I have taken. Generally, the person who cannot interact with the world in and around, or cannot move independently, they call as a person with a disability, or it's called impairment. The impairment can happen both by birth as well as during their course of life, by accident or whatever way. Okay, so it could be birth, it could be in like any accident or other diseases could affect in the middle of their life. So disability can occur any time for anyone. The only thing is it's difficult to interact with the world in and around, as well as difficult to move around. So that's a call, it's the disability. So disability is not inability. So that is the general social movements, all the disability rights movements, what we insist. Disability is not, it could be, it's an impairment of the body functioning, but it's not an inability. Because it's inability because the in and around, that is, we are not able to interact with other members of the society due to what we call barriers. The barriers is more of physical barrier or environmental barrier. It's mostly man-made barriers. So only thing is it's not in, that's why I call it, it's enabling the disabled. So only thing is there is no enablement. If it's possible to enable the person with a disability, I'm sure he or she can contribute to the society's development. The society is not allowing us to contribute due to the barrier. So this if you break the barrier, the entire population of the person with disability can contribute to the development of the entire society. Right. In 2000, the same in 2016 Act, actually it's one of the comprehensive act of India, which passed by Parliament unanimously, both houses, Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. One of the speedy movement, that is that, like, unanimously passed. Then they gave the president gave the assent immediately. So that shows the concern of the state. So that definitely the 2016 Act. This Act repealed the earliest Act. That is 1995. We had an Act, Person with Disability Act, that is called Equal Opportunity and Dignity for the protection of the person with disability rights. So that Act been repealed. Then it came with the Comprehensive Act of 2016. Followed by the United Nations Convention on Rights of Persons with Disability in 2006. We are the signatory of that fight. So that act gives, actually I mentioned 19. Actually, it's been 21 types of the disability. Generally, we will be addressed. You will be seen either it's a speech and hearing, blind. It's blindness. Technically it's called blindness, or people in general we call it visually challenged or physically challenged. But technically, and it's called orthopedic disability, that is for physical disability. Then visually challenged, or it's a blindness, low vision. Then these are the people. Then speech and hearing, of course, these are wider. Then intellectual disability, what we call, in that comes under mentally retarded and mental illness. But kindly note that there are 21 variety of disabled people are there in the society. So that the entire that comprehensively covered 2016 Act. But 1995 Act recognized only 7. Of course, the predominantly the 4 plus leprosy cure. So there are only 7, but it's been a lot of struggle, lot of lobbying being done by the social movements, especially disability rights movements. Then the government recognized 21 types of the disability. So in terms of population, see, in the world, it's currently, we roughly put it 1 billion. The figure has been taken from the WHO. It's a 1 billion. That is 15% of the entire global population. In 2011 census, that is a sad part, it shows 2.21%. The population of India, 2.21. So just think of it, that is 120 crores of population that time. We are telling that so that is the contradiction. Okay, so that is a contradiction. You are claiming that our disability population we are the largest population in the world, but we say we are lowest in the person with a disability. So the enumeration, there's some thing is wrong. Of course, that is the time they might have considered only those 7 types of now it's been increased to 21 types. So hopefully the present census, that is 2026 started, I hope they will come out with exact figure. So why we insist on enumeration, then only we can go for the proper policy level changes we can demand from the government. So that is the enumeration part. Still we are lacking. We don't have a accurate data. That is the sad part. That is a population wise. We'll see. As I say that, let's see the legal protection side. When we come to, of course, as I said, we have one of the largest population. The legal protection for the person with the disability. As you know, any human rights act or treaties in the international level or act in the state level, any state. So it has its own history. As I started, UDHR was the base document, that is 1948, adopted by the United Nations for all the human rights. Then later on, that is 1968 in Tehran, there was a World Conference on Human Rights started after 20 years of the adoption of human UDHR. It's a kind of evaluation being done. Then there were a few later, some of the suggestions being wanted to incorporate on that. And after 25 years of Tehran Conference in 1993, in Vienna, Austria capital, the second World Conference on Human Rights held. In that, 171 countries participated, around 2,100 representatives, including around 900 representatives from civil society organizations, not only government representatives. So that is the largest conference on human rights been held, where the declaration been adopted. All the countries accepted the universality of the human rights. So that is the major breakthrough in human rights thing. That the universality of the human rights, it's interrelated, indivisible. That is the important. That is all human rights for all. That was the slogan for the conference. All human rights for all. So all human rights, all the human have a equal opportunities. All human have a self dignity. So that's been accepted. The concept been completely broadened and accepted by the most of the countries in the world. So the second World Conference on Human Rights is a major breakthrough for human rights. That's a universal. Thereafter only all the rights movements been strengthened. Like, if it is a women rights or transgender rights. So these are the rights started to get attention in the so-called mainstream societies. So that's a way person with disability rights also has its own history. Actually, 1971, UN General Assembly adopted a resolution concerning about the person with a disability. Of course, 1972 also they had a own resolution. Then 1981, that was the year United Nations observed International Year for Person with a Disability. So that is the time UN has a committee on person with human rights. Person with disability. So 1981, then 1992, December 13, the General Assembly adopted December 3rd as a International Day of Person with a Disability. So that is a major breakthrough so the other countries. Even in 1987, there was an idea from the Italy in United Nations, there should be a separate program for person with a disability. Of course, there were a lot of opposition from the other nations. Later on, what happened? The same idea been muted in after 95 by
disability பத்தி
Mexico.
பேசிட்டு இருக்காங்க. என்னென்ன ரைட் இருக்கு?
என்னது
காப்பி.
எப்படியா இருந்தாலும் ஏதோ
disability போய் பாருங்க.
Okay,
Legal
it's
protection.
Mexico.
disability பத்தி பேசிட்டு இருக்காங்க.
அல டாலர் வச்சிருந்தேன் இந்த இடத்துல டாலர் போடுங்க என் பிள்ளைக்கு ஒரு கொலுசு வாங்கலாம் லாக்கர்ல நான் கொலுசு
So Mexico.
அவார்ட் வச்சிருப்பாங்க, அவார்ட் வாங்கிங்க இப்ப கொடுத்துறோம். வெள்ளிக்கு
So
தான்.
Mexico started.
எங்க அம்மா வந்து
Mexico started its idea of a person, the program for person with a disability. Then the other countries came forward. In 2006, finally, United Nations General Assembly adopted the Convention on Rights of Person with a Disability, what we call UNCRPD, the United Nations Convention on Rights of Person with a Disability. That is the legal document. That is become a reference for all the nations. The significance of this convention is around 164 countries immediately becoming a signatory of this one. Then of course now it's 182. It's been increased. Then almost 160 countries ratified this convention. So which means once you ratify this convention, then you have to have your own law of the land. Right. So once the even conventions or covenants or even treaties been signed, then if you are ratified by your parliament, then you have an obligation of coming with immediately law of the land. So that's why 2016 Indian government passed that Person with Disability Act. So one of the comprehensive act which focuses more on education, health, employment, of course, even disaster, like then special court for the disabled, then other concerns. So then transport, accessibility of public transport, accessibility of public building. So all the aspects of the person with a disability considered, the act being passed. So that is the another legal document 2016 proposed, that's a protection and promotion of the rights of the person with disability, Indian Parliament adopted, following which they once the act been passed, the rule is that they have to come out with something called rules. Each state have to come out with the rules. Only then the act actually will be implemented. So it takes more than 2 to 3 years to all the states to come out with the rules. Then later on only, then slowly each state in India then started their own state rules. Of course, we have a union government rules to implement this act, 2016 act. So that is the guiding force, which almost all the aspects of the UN Convention on Rights of Persons with Disability that has been taken into consideration, that ensure that it's a barrier-free society being created. It's a physical barrier or environmental barrier. Actually, so that is the thing. Of course, non-discrimination and equality, all the concepts, all the principles being incorporated in this act. So that way, it's one of the comprehensive act for the development of a person with a disability. Which is one of the major section of the society. Unfortunately, the census, as I mentioned earlier, still the number is putting very low. Where you have 140 crores, 1.4 billion population, you are showing that only 2% of the population is person with disability. Whereas the entire world shows it's a 15% of the population constitutes. It's not corresponding. That's what I'm trying to say that. At the same level, whereas other countries, apart from India, like a person with affected by HIV or AIDS, they are also considered as disabled people. But in India, it's not there. You must have seen my second slide there. I shown all what are the types of the person with the disabilities, like, cancer cure, leprosy cure, they're all there. Even not cancer patient also comes under person with a disability according to 2016 Act. That issues generally for any development, it's put it more like more of social issues. First thing comes to stigmatization. Of course, harassments are there. Violence against person with a disability still exists. Politically, it's insignificant. They are not a vote bank section. So that what happened, the voices are not raised, are not heard by the political parties. So that is there. Then parties lack of participation in public as well as political life. The country, that's why we insist and I said it's a disability. It's not an inability. It's not that disabled people are not given an opportunity to participate in public life. I'm sure very, very rare that, of course, even Indian politics, representatives from person with disabilities, very rare. If I remember, it's only Jayapal Reddy from Congress who is crippled. He's a wheelchair user who was there. Internationally, if we see that Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, US president, who were 4 times been elected from US president. He is the wheelchair user. He cannot move both the legs. So probably the same way that the UK then Home Minister David Blanket, he was a visually challenged professor from Cambridge. So there are very few political leaders are participated in that. In that, I have to thank the then government of Tamil Nadu last, that is 25th, end of 25th, then Chief Minister Tamil Nadu, M.K. Stalin came out with an order saying that political participation of person with disability. In this order, GO says a minimum of 1 member from each rural panchayat has to be nominated from person with disability, minimum. But there is a discretion. If it's a corporation, a municipal corporation, or if it is a bigger corporation like Madurai or Chennai or like that, if it is around 200, then there should be a 5 people. So, but it's a discretion of the commissioner. Or if it is a rural, it's a discretion of the collector. But it is the first time in history in India, the government recognized or came out with an order saying that the panchayat should have a member from the person with a disability. But it's a nominated member. Of course, it has its own flaws. All the disability movements are welcoming the step. Definitely the first step. If it is make it as a elected, that is mandatory for the election, then it has more value than nominated members. What happened then? Then they will try to nominate only people from their own political parties. So there are a few things, but it's a definitely welcoming step which recognize the political participation of the. I think it is the first in history to happen in India. So that political, so that way we have moved in Tamil Nadu, disability movements, that lobbying being done very long time. So at least we could make some success on that. Apart from this social issues, if it comes to development part, what we call approaches. Okay, for the disability development, the approaches are generally we call it charitable approach. Historically, if you see if you see any person with a disability, immediately what do you think? Either you have to there will be mostly they were sitting in front of the temple or church or whatever the public places, becoming a beggary was the initial thing. That's why then the charitable approach started. You have to just give them food or shelter. The started with the charitable approach, then become what we call it in social development institutional approach. But institutional approach, once again, protecting this person with a disability in particular places, what we call homes popularly. That's why the Cheshire homes. Our movement started with the Cheshire, and I say Leonard Cheshire, our founder, who is a captain of Royal Air Force. In fact, he was the observer pilot in Hiroshima Nagasaki bomb. They were in a drop nuclear bomb, right? That's the same flight he was observer pilot. When he came back to London, then only he realized that they dropped nuclear bomb. Then that realization only he started to work for a person with a disability. Okay, so then we realize that is the time this institutional approach. You keep them in particular institution, try to give them some kind of rehabilitation. So that will be lifelong protection. So how many lakhs of people you are going to have homes, so-called homes, right? So that's institutional approach. Once you are kind of keeping the people away from so-called mainstream society. This institutional approach, once again, you are keeping them till their death or something, or keeping for quite long time, trying that you are train them for certain rehabilitation. then leave them for with mainstream society, then they have a problem with interacting with the mainstream society. So once again, there's some fault in the international approach. Then we believed in an empowerment approach. This empowerment approach, where you train the people according to their skill, so that they're going to live in their own. That is this empower. Give them a power and benefit to the beneficiary. That is the basic principle behind the empowerment approach. In the same way, it's a community-based rehabilitation, what we call CBR. So that's what we believe in. That when I say we believe in that, is LC Project Nagapatnam strategy is community-based rehabilitation, not a home-based approach. We don't keep any person with a disability in our home. We reach the community. We train the community members. That is the caregivers of the family, caregivers of the person with a disability. You train them how to handle the person with a disability. If it's a physically challenged, or if they are wheelchair user, or CP, that is cerebral palsy, that is a child who has multiple, both intellectually, she or he cannot be disabled, at the same time the movement also will be difficult. So that it's then you have a hyperactivities. So there are varieties. So we try to train the caregivers to handle them. Of course, we also help them to get the children enroll in the mainstream schools. We facilitate the schools to have a person with children with a disability. We try to access barrier-free schools, like building constructing ramps, constructing accessible toilets. So these are the barriers. Accessing buildings, accessible toilets. That's a basic need. Once you make it, that is accessible. So the person with a disability also will contribute to the societal development. They themselves develop education. So we've been developed model schools. We have been developed model buildings, like, in Kadalur, I'm sure you all from Annamalai University, Puduchatram PHC, we made it for accessible hospital for person with a disability, both in terms of ramp and things like that. Kadalur Public Post Office, that's LC, made it for model. That is so that the collectorate will take over. So like that, some of the schools in Kadalur and Nagapattinam districts, government schools, not private schools, there are aided schools who came forward to support us. So that also we made it more of barrier-free schools, buildings, constructing toilets, accessible buildings, both, and libraries for libraries with braille books, sign languages, books and materials. We try to, so that but we can develop only models. Only the government has to take over. And that basis, SSA came out with a scheme. So that is a different part, different topic to debate. So we'll do that. But SSA has now implementing till 8th standard these schemes, accommodating children in the mainstream schools. So not having a special school. So special schools generally for differently, it's a blind schools, you must have seen it. There are schools for the speech and hearing. There are schools for the orthopedic handicap, orthopedic disabled, so like that, special schools. But now through SSA program, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan program, there are special resource persons in block level and of course in district levels. So the block level resources, they will visit the mainstream schools and try to assist the children with the disability. So that way, with after lobbying that we try that, then that is for the mainstreaming the education. So we'll make it education that is barrier-free educational institutions. So that's more important. That is called community-based rehabilitation. See, but the SSA program, what it has a flaw that they don't strengthen caregivers. So it has its own contradictions. So if I get into that, then it will be more longer time, then it will be diverted. Okay, so CBR approach, which more adaptable countries like us, so that you ensure that the community will take over the responsibility of person with the disabilities. Right. So approaches, as I said, strategics, what we do, when I say we, the civil society organization, we focus first is family, of course, institution, that is society at large, government. So these four strategies. So families, so that, you train the caregivers so that they can handle the person with disability. Moreover, not only handling, is acceptance of the core caregivers, family members of the person with disability. Of course, if once accepted by family, then only can be accepted by the society. Then they will go work, we will lobby with the government for the policy level changes and bringing the new schemes like that. So then, of course, we have the institutions, as I mentioned earlier in my presentations, that is creating a barrier-free institutions. If it is a public building or public schools or other public transports like that. So these are the generally the strategies civil society organizations adopts. At the same time, the same strategies also adopted by the governments. If it is whether it's a state government or union government, so the same strategies. So that has to be focused for their development. So that if it is a comprehensive strategies on comprehensive approach, this population, that is almost 10% of the population is can contribute to the entire social development. It's an untapped resource. That's what I call. It's an untapped resource for the development. So that could be the community can contribute that. So I have to link with I put in my last part, that is the strategic, that is what we call now popularly till 2030 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. UN adopted these goals to ensure no one leave behind in the globe for development, societal development, if it's economic development or societal development. The strategic sustainable development goals are the that is currently focused by all the governments of the world. So we also adopt that. When we say we, in India government also, whenever they design any policies or any schemes, it's they give a reference in SDGs. The SDGs are there are 17 major goals. In that, that doesn't actually speaking, it doesn't mention person with a disability, but it's a cutting across that we can see that. One is that goal number 4 that speaks about the quality education. That's so. Then the goal number 5 is gender equality. Of course, the goal number 8 is the decent employment as well as economic development. The goal number 10, that is reducing inequality. So these are the goals which ensures. Of course, goal number 16 also, it speaks about the justice for all, so that we can include that. So, it's as the document of SDG speaks, it's a cutting across. That is, if it is for women, for so-called marginalized sections, it's women or indigenous people, children. So, of course, person with a disability. So these goals should ensure for the overall development of the person with disability. As I mentioned, this is the untapped resources of labor, untapped of the forces, social force, which can contribute more for the societal development. So the only thing is, it has to be ensure that is barrier-free environment. So you have to give them, you have to enable them to contribute. So if you once enable them to contribute, I'm sure the entire population will contribute to that. So they will not depend on others for their need. So that either government or entire society need not worry about taking care of this population. The population is untapped. The population is deprived because of the mindset. So basically what we call that as attitudinal. That attitudinal changes comes once in the society. I am sure this population will will contribute. So I request everyone, so don't look at the person with the disability in sympathy. So you just have to need more of empathy. If you empathize with them, I'm sure that will give them, that will strengthen their confidence, that will strengthen their contribution. So that is my request. So thank you so much for your patient listening. In case any clarification, I'm really glad to clarify. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Sekar sir, thank you very much for this excellent session. We'll now keep the floor open for question and answer, sir. Participants, you may please unmute and ask your questions.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Ramesh.
Yeah, Muthammar, sir.
Okay.
Please go on.
Okay. Anybody else is going to start? I can wait.
No, go on.
Yeah, because I have a small meeting. So, hey, Mr. Ramesh, doctor, very, very good presentation. But I would like to say something. Okay, based on the definitions, what you mentioned, also the 7 and then the 21, right?
Yeah.
The challenge is that today, if you look at the definition, 99.9% of the people are disabled, actually. Nobody is able to use their mental ability, cognitive ability. How many people are, if you look at even highly qualified people today, I'm very, very frank, highly qualified, highly educated, they'll be earning probably 10 lakhs rupees a month salary. They'll be still believing in astrology and horoscope for marriage, for example. They still believe superstitions, actually. They'll still believe any kind of wrong this thing just because it is popularly advertised by some people. They do not use their cognitive ability. They blindly follow herd mindset. The suffering in the world is not because when the people themselves forget about the rules, forget about the laws there. The enumeration and the implementation is a problem because people themselves are disabled. They themselves don't know what they are doing rightly, and so they are not able to see the disabled people properly. I can give a lot of example. Even many parents today, they want you to be. You said one last one beautifully. You said that don't look at us with and pathetic look or give us some please give us confidence and all these things. But many parents today, they want society to be sympathetic to the children, even highly intellectual children. Look, anything. So even they go to school, they go to college, they go to organization, do something. Please take care. Just do it for me. Even when their own children, highly intelligent, qualified, studied, everything, they make a mistake. They want to show sympathy rather than disciplining them. That's the society. Now, the issue here is that is one of the reasons actually everybody, every politician, every capitalistic industrialist, every kind of guy, con person, astrologer, you take anybody take people for a ride and take them under control. So disability, yes, obviously we see disability from a physical disability point of view. I fully agree with you. Yes, beautiful. That is very clear. There's a distinction is there and we can see, and people also support them, help them confidently. But non-physical abilities, which is internal, it's an extremely difficult subject, sir. And it is very difficult because everybody around us is disabled somehow, including myself probably.
Yes, certainly. As I said, it's the disability. I mean, medical term. It's like cognitive and mental. What do you say? It's a more of that lower level confidence, and of course now there's something called slow learners nowadays. You can see person. So that also because of this whatever the societal issues. So these slow learners, all that has to be considered. Person with a disability, like what we call learning disability. Actually, we call them learning disabled, LD, or it actually they are the slow learners. Because of the system, actually the educational system, then of course the society pressure you have to come score with higher marks and things, so that push them that, sir. So I think where the thing is here it's a societal transformation is important than by legal and other things. So there we can contribute. So that's there.
No, I'm agree, sir. I'm not talking about slow learners only. I'm talking
Okay.
about really good learners.
And yeah, that's
Even
one thing. No, just I'm saying an example, sir.
the
Yeah, what I
people
agree, sir.
misuse
Only.
their influence to go around, circumvent, and get advantage for their own children, get things organized. Like example, somebody is expecting, like I can give a lot of examples, right? That is what the issue is. The issue we completely comfortably, conveniently, we choose to ignore that. We choose to ignore and walk away because today, more than the disabled people, the elite people are more disabled because they use every possible influence they have, whether it is because of money or contacts or whatever, or networks, they get advantage even though they are not qualified. You can see from Group 1 exams to IIT, JEE, NEET exams, everywhere we see that every year people actually misuse the system and they are more disabled than actually physically disabled people, like created by nature or evolution or God, whatever name you call it. So for me, you have to disaggregate these two because when society is so corrupted themselves and disabled because of that, to use their Gogin, they're higher learners, they're intelligent, elite, and rich people, but they are the one totally misuse the whole system. So when they are there, what happens is that the implementation of the actual disabled rights becomes a problem because, as you correctly point, even the Supreme Court judges and people they joke and they create problems, sarcastic and all that they do all the time. It's very common. Just before I close out, only one thing I say, sir. There's a beautiful short movie, just two minutes only. I'm not sure whether I have a link. I show it to you. All of you have to see it here. It's about a disabled person who can't walk, probably a polio attacked person, creating superb god idols. So somebody goes there and asks him, I want to buy this beautiful Krishna idol and I want to buy it. How much it is costing you? He says about 500 rupees or whatever. Then he says, can you give me for 400? He says, sir, no, sir, I can only give 500. It's very difficult. So he gives 500. Says, at that time, that's the time only he gets up from the table. He walks around, packs it up, and then gives a change. And he sees it's a polio attacked guy. He's not able to walk, and he's just difficulty is walking. Then he said, he gives a change of 100 rupees. He said, no, keep it with you. He says, so I don't want your sympathy, and you give me what is worth for me. I will take that money only. I don't want any extra money. He said, no, 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 you've done a great job. And the idol is so beautiful. Every idol in the shop is so beautiful. And so I want to give us a compliment to you and a gift. This is the final word, superb word. We all have to listen to this. Every one of us have to listen to this. The guy answers back. In Tamil, it's so beautiful, but in English, he says actually, sir, I make all the gods with perfect harmony and best health. But gods don't make us like that. Beautiful.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, thank you, sir. Really nice.
Yeah, Professor Sanjana? Sir Kasturaj, sir, or Professor Sanjana, yeah, please go on. Sanjana, please go on.
So, am I audible?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so very much, Dr. Gopi and Dr. Shekhar, Dr. Gopi for organizing this particular webinar, and Dr. Shekhar for sharing your valuable inputs. It's very important, that we share our knowledge on such kind of platforms. Now, when we talk about disability, I would like to share my own personal experience, sir. I was a college professor at a very early age. I started into teaching, into my profession of hotel management. And later on, after a couple of years, when I was blessed with my own daughter, I thought of doing B.Ed. I got that opportunity. It was only 1 year's course, so I thought, okay, let me just try. I gave my entrance exam and I cracked it. So that is how I completed B.Ed. Because before that, I was thinking it is not really required because I'm already teaching at the college level. Just to understand the current education system and my daughter well, psychologically, I thought of doing this course. So I did it, and we were somewhere in Delhi that time. So and my husband used to be very busy, so and I was always working, so I thought of joining a school. But though my daughter was already settled in one school, I thought of joining some other school and not to disturb her setup, but of the same age group. So what happened there when I joined? They gave me a class wherein there was one child because of whom nobody was ready to take up that class as a class teacher. So, and I was new to the system, I did not know anything about all that, and other teachers were from previous years, they just carried forward, and I was new to the setup. So I said, okay, fine, give me any class. I was not aware. And this particular child, sir, when we talk about disability, there is a definition which says the most disabled child is the one who is deaf. Deafness is the highest disability level in disable, you can say, hierarchy also.
Yeah.
So this particular child was deaf and mute. Okay, he was not even able to speak, plus he was not able to hear anything. So because of him, nobody was ready to be responsible for that particular class. And of course the child was little overgrown compared to the other children in the class. He was little bigger by age. So when I started teaching, sir, you won't believe, I did not have any previous experience of such kind. Okay, but I would definitely say I took it as a challenge, and I was just doing a bit of my own inputs I was giving as a person, as a understanding person. And that child started uh, you know uh, observing my lip movements. He started understanding what I'm trying to say. And even though, like, and he had a habit of running out of the class. So uh, how to catch hold of him, because you cannot even like call him, because he is not able to hear. How can you bring him back to the class? So all the challenges were there. And so this is a very special experience for me, because when I joined the school also, after a couple of months, I realized that I'm carrying a child, my second child. I was pregnant. So along with my pregnancy, plus this child, and other children were also very small in the class. So it was quite a challenge. But then I, as a person, I was very, very happy and satisfied that this particular child, I'm able to bring some change in his life, because he started learning, he started being in the class, he started understanding the concepts which he was not able to do it earlier. And he could understand my sign language, what I'm trying to tell him. If I was telling him, okay, sit down, or only looking at him and making him say, okay, you sit down, so he was able to understand all that. So I feel, sir, for me, I believe, sir, you have to understand yourself first as a person. You have to understand, like, what is your purpose of being in this world. You have to take that journey inwards instead of blaming others, you know and as Mahatma Gandhi rightly said, be the change you want to be. So if you really want the change in the society, it starts from you, it starts from within. It's very, very easy to blame others, and say, and it is again very easy to say that, like a suggestion, okay, turn inwards. So it is difficult, but it is achievable. And as sir said, that people are getting exploited by different means, like jyotishi and this and that, and bhundu babas and this, and people are into wrongdoings. That is only because, sir, they haven't understood their own soul purpose. If you have it in you, you will definitely be able to give it to others. And first of all, you need to have it in you. So everybody is running around, and they do not know why they are running around, and nothing is enough. Even though you have 100 crores of rupees, you will say, I want little more. That little more never comes. So one has to be living in the moment, be mindful, and be very cautious about what they're doing with other lives. When they have opportunity to do something, do some change, what are they doing with that opportunity? Forget about others. If you have an opportunity to change someone else's life, what are you doing with that? Are you really being honest with yourself, or are you really justifying that opportunity? That is what is more important. And see, sir, if we are born with without disability, okay, or with some kind of a wisdom, or some kind of a ability to learn, or some kind of a blessings, so this is all divine blessing. It is nothing is my credit if I'm born perfect or without disability. It is somebody else's credit that I am like this, which is, I would say, perfect according to the this materialistic world. Okay, but if somebody is disabled, it is again neither their fault as well. So we all are one, we all are creators of God. And now whatever name we can give it to that God, the Christian people will call it God, Hindu will call something else, another communities will call something else, that doesn't matter. But the creator has a blessing, and because of him or her, we are here in whatever format we are. So it is nothing to be proud of and nothing to be ashamed of, first of all. So we have to accept the reality, and once we accept the reality, we have to see now what we can do better to make the things better, whether it's for yourself or for others. And all these things have to be done ethically, and no matter what you do in the world, no matter how much you are trying to fool others, you cannot fool yourself. So people are answerable to themselves, not to the world, not to their parents, not to anyone else for that matter. So if the opportunity comes to you, are you really being honest with your own self and with your own purpose? That is what, sir, is very, very important. And that is what I would like to contribute here, sir. And as I said, even disabled people are people like us. It is not their fault that they're born like that. And it is just a physical disability. Physical disability can be rectified with external support. But as somebody, I think Dr. Muthu Kumar was mentioning, the mental disability is something we have to really worry about. That why the society is getting mentally disabled and they're not being humans anymore. So that is what we need to underline. And here, when we say this, we have to think about only ourselves. Only one person, if we can able to change, I think we are able to change the society. So the journey starts from us, yourself. Thank you so much, sir, for this opportunity, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shalini. Sir Kasturajan, sir. Sir Kasturajan, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Good morning,
Yeah, go on,
Dr. Sekar Palanisamy. It was a. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it was a wonderful presentation, enlightening, and it was very useful to all of us. And it has also given us some insights how to show empathy, sympathy on the, I would call it as differently abled people. We won't call them as disabled. We will call them as differently abled. If one door is closed, the God is kind enough to open the other door. So they have some other talents. So I would really salute you, and my compliments to you for your great contribution in the rehabilitation and also disaster recovery management activities by your company and also yourself. And you're doing a yeoman service, service to the humanity. It's a great job, and really hats off to you. One important thing I would like to mention about the people who are differently abled, that I would say that there is no ease of life in our system, and the ease of doing their businesses or ease of living their lives, or no. I would take a small example of, let's take Chennai city transport or any transport within Tamil Nadu. The buses, when any person with, differently abled person travels or wants to travel in a bus, it would be very difficult, because I have seen, luckily in New Delhi city, lots of buses, 100% buses are low floor buses, and they have a system of a movable ramp. The driver is having the control. The ramp would come down if there is a differently abled person. If the person would like to get inside the bus using a wheelchair or using a walker or support of somebody, it's very easy. One is it's a low flow. The other one is there is a movable ramp which comes out, protrudes outside, and then goes inside. So that sort of system is not there. Even I would say that the government also should think about, providing them the ease of life. They should have ease of mobility, and then travel, transportation, in their public life when they want to move around from one place to another place. It would be very difficult for the differently abled persons to get into a public transport. This is one.
Correct.
The other thing, like
Yes.
airports, of course, luckily they are having all the facilities. All the airlines have been instructed by the DGCA that they should, at the entrance itself, when they come to the airport entrance, they are taken care by the airlines, or even the airports authority, the staff members. They take them inside, they do everything for them. The wheelchair is taken inside, and then they go up to the aircraft. For example, my
Okay.
mother is not a differently able, but my mother underwent a total knee replacement. Now, she is about 80 plus. But when we wanted to take her to South Tuticorin, luckily, when I, requested the airlines in the beginning itself, while booking the air tickets, they came to the entrance, they received her, they took care of her, and then they came up to the aircraft. They came inside also, and after that, the crew members, they took care and they took her to the seat. And another suggestion I would like to say, like for example, railways in Egmore, or Egmore station, especially Egmore is having lots of different platforms and staircase, and only one lift is there, and the lift will not go to every platform. It will be for only up to a particular platform, and then you have to either go through the staircase or you have to use an escalator. Escalator is very dangerous. Even normal people would get scared. So it's not at all possible for the differently able persons to get get into the escalator. So they have to use the staircase. So either they should have lift in all the platforms, or they should have ramp system. It's very difficult to find the ramp at one corner of the station for a differently able person to go inside. So what I'm saying, NGOs are doing a fantastic job. They're doing very good jobs. Like you're doing a great job. You're helping the differently able people who are, as a society, you're trying to help them in many ways. Okay, either they should get the proper support from the government or funding from the government. For example, one gentleman, an elderly gentleman in Aikudi, near Tenkasi district, he is running a small home for the differently able people, the children. And he himself is a differently able person. He sits in the wheelchair only. Both his hands and legs are dysfunctional. So he was given the Padma Shri Award by the central government. That's great. They have identified an ordinary person who is doing a great job in a small village and is helping. So if the government also, I'm talking about both the government, state and central, if they can give them some funding, encourage them, identify more children, help them, either give them shelter or give them some sort of training. And as you rightly said, the importance, they should there should be no difference in the, you talked about gender parity. I'm talking about there should be no disparity at all. Everyone should be treated equally, like ordinary human beings, like all of us. So everyone should be given equal importance. Even in the train, I would like to suggest to the government, union government, that they should have, the front seats should be reserved for the disabled persons, because they can't move into the inside that coach. It's very difficult. It's so narrow. It's not possible. So they should get the front on the near the gate or the near the door. They should have the seats reserved for them. In some buses, I think they have this differently abled person, but many a times I'm seeing only ordinary people are sitting there. Okay, that's okay. And if we can take it up with the government, to do something for the differently able people. Like, for example, there are people who have there is no physical disability, but they have problems in speaking and hearing. For example, my own cousin sister, she got married to another gentleman of the same, same type. He will not be able to speak or hear, but both got married, and luckily there is a child, and the child is able to speak. It's about 2-3 years old, and the child is able to speak. So the boy is able to hear also. That's a good thing. But she struggled a lot in getting into a government job. Ultimately, she is working as a data entry operator, or a small job in a private company very far away near Tambaram. She goes from Ananagar, and the boy is working in a multinational bank, and he is going in the night shift. It's very dangerous, in the night when the boy is traveling by a bike. Nobody would be able to realize he will not be able to speak or hear, and he goes in the night, comes in the night. So it's a very dangerous thing. So if government can take care of giving them some employment opportunities, for the people, not physical disability, but there is a problem in speaking and hearing. If if they are not able to hear, and they can't use the hearing aid also, that sort of problems are there. So the government, the NGOs, the public at large, they all should contribute, find ways and means, help everybody, eradicate this kind of a disparity, give them equal importance, equal value, respect. And the way you're doing, and there are many NGOs who are doing, but I would say that the state government has equal responsibility, and the public at large, the community as a whole, we all have the responsibilities to, take care of those differently abled persons, mental disability, or we call it as, mentally stressed people. No, we have to have some, a new idea, new thought, giving them ease of life, ease of doing business, and equal importance, equal respect in the society. This is my humble, suggestions. My humble suggestions and points, just to add on to your presentation. It was a wonderful presentation, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. So as you
Thank you, sir.
said, right, actually that access to public place still is a problem, especially what you said, like railways. In terms of airport, it was a case, major case. Earlier, all the airlines were charging for that, supporting whether senior citizens or disabled, that moving wheelchair, they were charging 500 rupees 20 years back. Can you imagine? Now how much would have been? So then there was a case. Actually, the case were filed until it went till Supreme Court. After the Supreme Court judgment, only all the airlines accepted those wheelchair services. Now, still there are lobbying for what you said, true. All the public transports, especially the newly designed, the so-called Vande Bharat trains, they have those kind of toilets, accessible toilets as well as accessible door. But ordinary trains, yes, exactly what your observation, exactly right. They're finding it. It's not only person with disability. Imagine this: if a person is a heart patient or a bypass surgery or something has underwent, so he or she cannot even move.
Yes, sir.
Into the
Actually,
steps.
my mother
So
cannot
that
go by.
also will be considered.
My mother
But
cannot
still,
go by
as
train.
I said, that's true.
Yeah,
That's true. So
because
still we are fighting for that. Let's see, sir.
yeah, she won't be able to get onto the steps inside the train So we always take her by air only to Thoothukudi or Madurai, and then we take her by road to our
That's
village
right. Yeah,
near
I agree.
Tenkasi.
I
So
agree.
the thing is, if we can, we are all, genius in engineering, technology, and everything. Making a small design, keeping a small temporary, movable, small
True.
ramp kind of thing, and
True.
keep them in the platform itself. There are
Yes,
many
yes.
shops, there are many volunteers who can keep that in the platform itself and ask people if any help is required, and give that the temporary ramp, and then fix it with the step, and then the wheelchair or the person can easily climb up. So that is
That's what we
not a very difficult thing.
said, sir. So we are saying that barrier free, you make it accessible. Exactly. This is the barriers. Even if the workplace, what we do, we train them, we sensitize the employers. What we call employer sensitization programs.
Correct.
We call for the employer sensitization. We ensure that that the buildings are accessible by either lift or accessible toilet. Generally, people actually there's allegation by the employers the disabled people are not withstanding for the. I mean, the retention among disability is high. That is the accusation. But actually, when you go and analyze it, there are three things. Generally, we saw one is accessible toilet won't be there. Second is the building is not accessible. Third is acceptance of the co-workers, which is most important. That's what we focus more, not only employer sensitization, it's a co-worker sensitization. Acceptable. I mean, I myself experience a lot of places. I myself are visually challenged. When I started my work, though sorry to like the employees, I myself is the PhD holder. I'll be heading the team also, but initially it used to be no acceptance won't be there. That the co-worker sensitization also important. So that's what our organization focus when we skill them. Of course, skilling was not only enough. So the societal thing. So it has to be do that. So once you make it that is enabled, then automatically they are not going to depend on you.
Correct.
And
Angel,
yeah, and one more thing, it's not only with the disabled people, even with the marginalized communities in common, elderly people. For example, my mother, as rightly pointed out, she cannot travel by train because getting into the train and going to the toilet during the travel, it's all difficult. So every time you have to take her by air or some other mean of transport. That's one thing. Number two is most of the marriages are in the halls. Maybe the reception is on the ground floor and the dining will be on the first floor or something like that, or the basement. So the elderly people mostly they avoid, even though they are willing to go and bless the couple. It's very difficult for them to get into this step business, climbing up or climbing down. These kind of things, even for meetings. Many of the things I learned from Dr. Sekar during the emergency, especially during the cyclones. From tsunami, I've been watching and I've been working closely during the disasters. Dr. Sekar, you can briefly give some case studies and a few 2 to 3 minutes on exclusively on the issues of disabled people during emergencies. What kind of problem they'll be facing and how you've been handling it over there.
Yeah. I mean, you want me to explain on that?
Yeah, during that tsunami and
Yes.
cyclone Tane, when we visited, we had noticed some of the thing was it was completely flooded and roads were blocked. They could not come out.
Yeah, actually, when it comes to disaster with disability, yes, it's they are double vulnerable, if you want to say that. At the same time, what I'm sure Suresh knows that when we offer training, a person with locomotor disability or if he or she knows swimming, but if the person so-called the non-disabled, not knowing the swimming, if it is a flood or tsunami, obviously the disabled person is more empowered than the non-disabled. I mean, that disability, the focus, none of the organizations initially, among civil society organizations, what we learned, they don't have that knowledge or expertise how to include what we call inclusive development. See, development can happen any side. It's a horizontal or it's a vertical in society level. But whether we have to see that whether it is inclusive, which including everyone, it's a senior citizen or children or transgender or disabled, right? So these are the vulnerable sections what we consider. So the inclusive development. So when it comes to rehabilitation part, especially construction of houses, then we offer, that is the time for especially civil society organization, how to design children friendly, both disabled friendly houses. That is the time we insisted all the organizations come out with houses and toilets, but everybody forgets when it comes to the house has a person with a disability. No, it's accessible toilet or not. Accessible toilet is not only for person with disability, it's for disabled, even senior citizens, right? So it's for the children. So that, I mean, we were offering that time, we were sensitizing both the government officials through training, civil society organizations. Then, of course, when it comes to rehabilitation and the relief work and the temporary shelters, once again, so we tend to ignore these kind of the vulnerable sections. See, it's it's a panic time, but as a bureaucrats of the country, that you have a sensitive to everything, everyone in around that. So that used to lax the whether when we distribute the rations and other things like that. So that it's whether it's a cyclone affected or it's affected by tsunami and flood. So that the disaster. Then that's why we design, like, when we train them, especially disaster management, how to when we draw the escape routes for the villagers, or when we teach them on task forces, whom to take first away, right? Like, over that. So that is that kind of a sensitization that is I mean, still we are doing with any disaster. So the house design, public toilets, I mean, public building design. So that also that are the lobbying work that's been doing. At the same time, when they go for enumerations, they don't consider. Suppose if a person with a disability leaves her livelihood with smaller things, for instance, backyard poultry, right? Or if it is a goat rearing. See, for a person who is drawing salary of 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs, or 5, even 80, 90, hundreds of thousands. But that is a livelihood for that's a smaller community. But when it comes to enumeration, generally the local officials, panchayat officials or lower revenue officials, they don't consider these losses. It's a livelihood losses of the mass. So that local sensitization is important when we go for disaster management. So whether the particular community is living with whatever livelihood aspect being, that has to be considered. So we used to work all with these smaller communities who do all kind of work. For instance, they tend to lose their livelihood, right? But they live dependently solely on this kind of smaller things. But it's when we make a policies, it's a blanket policy straight away. Okay, so if you lose, if you're a fisherman, if you are losing a boat, if you are our net, okay, you will get this much amount. But that fisherman is the particular fisherman's depending on others for other things. Like, if when he bring the fish to shore, he won't sell it. He won't, segregation will be done by someone. The fishes segregation will be done by someone. The fishes will carried by someone. So that's all different people. But those smaller people won't come under all these considerations. Minor. It's the same thing with agriculture, same thing with the livelihood stock hearing like that. So that sensitization is very important when you make any policies or when you make any schemes. So that careful assessment as well as the local sensitivity, what we call it a local sensitivity, local culture or local sensitization.
Thank you, Dr. Sekar. Wonderful.
Yes.
Because of
Yes.
such wonderful sensitization, the last decade has seen a lot of disabled people coming across in higher positions, especially in the UP exam, UPSC. And even recently, I came through that one physically challenged lady has become the first IAFS officer. Many of them are completed the IAS, the first collectors. That's a very good sign of being a change is happening in the society, but this should continue, and then we should regularly sensitize the community on their rights and the protection of marginalized community, especially the physically challenged people. That's part of our responsibility as giving back to the society. That's what I think. Thank you very much.
The challenge,
Angel, ma'am.
Mr. Ramesh and Dr. Ramesh and everyone, is that we have been discussing for the last 20 minutes now, and most of them are concentrating on physically handicapped people and marginalized people. The challenge is that disability, as you define, it goes much beyond physical liability. Autism children, for example, they may not be seen as a physically liable outside, but they have a different issue. Similarly, a lot of people have cognitive disability, and the elderly people suffering from dementia or Alzheimer, they all have a disability to a very high level. So the challenge is that, yes, we appreciate certain aspects of success achieved with respect to physically disabled people achieving something. But as a civilization, what is the problem is that the people who are creating the schemes, who are creating this kind of policies, or they are able mentally, cognitively. Most of the politicians today are cognitively disabled, sir. Most of the politicians, I would say 90% of politicians have no ability to create a policy. They do that. And most of the policy makers also not mentally abled. I can give an example. As an IAS officer sitting in Haryana, who's born and brought up and developed and studied and got his ranking from Haryana, he sits in Delhi and makes a policy for Madurai in Tamil Nadu, Andipati in Tamil Nadu. There's no way. It's not practically possible, but that system is like that. So we cannot say that individual system is like that. So the challenge is that beyond the physical disability, you said a lot of example about Egmore and other places, but people see that. All the intellectual people see that, but nobody takes an action, whether it's a politician or a policy maker or any kind of a government official. Even when people raise it to them, give them escalations, they don't take any action. And people also don't demand it in the election time during voting and all. So basically what is happening is everybody is mentally disabled to see the value of being an empathy and things like that. So the challenge for us is that we have to go beyond the physical disability aspect. We have to look at the mental disability and the cognitive disability, which is having in a civilization as a whole, and then take it from there, sir. I think if we do not have that holistic civilizational approach, these problems will not be resolved. You may have some people get success here and there, but then generally, most of the people will be suffering. People do not have a physical disability where we see a lot have other internal disability, and they will have all kinds of suffering, and it will continue in the society for a long time. So that's my chance, sir. Thank you.
Angerkani, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please go on. Angairkani Balasubramaniam. Please go on, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please go on. Okay. Anyone else would like to contribute something? You can please.
So may I, sir?
Yeah, please, ma'am. Please, ma'am.
Sir, actually, wanted to say that how in other ways we can contribute, the same people in our society. First of all, we have to, as I said earlier, we have to understand that they're not different or differently abled or something like that. There is nobody's fault, and once we accept that, then we have the ways to inculcate or include them in our so-called structure. So we have people who are working in the malls here in Pune, who are differently abled. Also there are people who are working at this petrol pumps and cafes. Also there is one cafe where the owner has gone out of the way and he has employed all the employees who are differently abled. And now the customers who are visiting this particular cafe, it is their duty to understand their what to say people who are serving them, and uh, coordinate with their language at least for some time. So such kind of things or changes should be there, sir, and we should create more and more employability for them. The more they'll become financially independent, they'll have their voice, or they'll have their place to say what they want to say, because economical factors are also very very important. And as sir said, he is associated with rehabilitation center, which which also makes them financially independent. So we should do that, and we as scholars, we should see to it that how we can help any such person who is coming in contact with us and help them become more independent financially. How we can contribute to that, that is what is more important. Once you're financially independent, sir, everybody is equal automatically. So the power lies with money, and the one who has money in the pocket speaks a lot. So even though the person is dumb, now sir was mentioning about the politicians and how they're in a not really having the ability to form any policy. It is only because they have power and money. People are listening to them. Now even though he opinioned his voice over here, but I don't think so. Many people we agree with him, but nobody goes to the politician and tells them on their face that this is what you're doing wrong, and we are suffering, and we are tolerating you. So the system has some kind of limitations, but what we can do in our capability is generate more employability for people around us, and be more little more sensitive. Being human is more important, I believe, and that is the answer for all the problems. Thank you so much, sir, for patiently listening.
Thank you. Thank you. Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Angairkani, ma'am, please go on. One last question we can take from Angairkani. Yeah, please go on.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. Sir, I have one input regarding accessibility of the person with disability in public areas. So previously, once I said regarding that accessibility in railway station and airports, and one more person I have recently noticed that theaters. Today in Tamil Nadu, I have seen in Chennai region, some theaters are updated with high version Dolby system, but to reach the screen, we have to uh, uh, use the upstairs, use the staircases at least 15 steps. So this is not easy for the person with disability, those who are in locomotor, and it is one of the concern I want to put in there. Is there any chances to recommend to the Tamil Nadu government regarding this, sir? And another question is another issue is the calipers. The locomotor persons using the supporting calipers with low quality, that is issued by the government of Tamil Nadu with low cost. Previously, we can pay for 63 rupees, but the quality of the calipers is not good. So one caliper is a research-oriented, I think so, like Kalam stamp. We can hear about that, sir. So it is affordable to the, it is a carbon material and very easy to use that. So we have to put recommendation to the government to implement that the project as a affordable price and accessibility for the person with disability community. So this is one of my suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. Sir, Dr. Sekar, thank you very much, sir, for joining us on a Sunday morning and sharing your
sir.
insightful.
No, thank you so much for you, everyone, for just listening to us. Thank you so much.